Hello and welcome to the Mighty 90s Movie and TV podcast. I'm Simon, and tonight I am honored to be joined by everyone's favorite 90s bully and continue to be a bully in many aspects, only fictional. I'm joined by Scott, AB, Caudill. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you, Scott?
I'm great. Thank you. Pleasure is all mine, man. How you doing, Simon?
Very good, very good. This
Awesome,
is
awesome.
again, this is very surreal for me. I mean, we were just saying before we were recording, but this movie was like my godfather, like my Rocky as a kid. And to be speaking to you is is amazing. I mean, but before we get to any of that stuff, if we take
Hey,
it
forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it.
exactly, and mix in Rocky, Colton Tum Tum, and there we have it. But if we were to take it all the way back, like how did you first get into acting, performing, music? Like what where did the inception come from?
Okay. Way back in the time. That would be what I'm like 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. I started as a dancer. My mom used to take me to the Elks Club, and the Elks Club is, it's the place, a membership of families that they gather and they have dinners, and so at this Elks Club they had a band, and I would be at that moment I was forced, in my head I'm thinking I don't want to dance, I don't want to, but my grandfather used to make me go on on the dance floor and do my thing and whatever. And my mom kept hearing from, the other patrons like, hey, your son is, super talented dancing. Do you ever think about getting them in the business and whatever. Right, that type of thing. So basically, my mom looked up different dance studios up in Hollywood area, and we're talking like 1991. I was a youngster, and was it 91? Yeah, about 1991. And so we find this dance studio, Regina's, and at the time, Regina's was the hot spot. I mean, it was dance teachers from like Madonna's Blonde Ambition tour. So basically, at that dance studio, they were like, the hottest choreographers and the dancers that were on tour, like actual tour guys from MC Hammer, were there teaching and all this stuff. And I stuck out like a sore thumb. This was this was before being a white kid and doing a hip hop style influence was popular. You know what I mean? This was before that. So it was an interesting thing, for one, that I stuck out like a sore thumb because I was the only white kid. But then for two, the love and the appreciation, that like it was the shock, like, whoa, this kid, like, wow, that type of thing. So it was interesting. So it was cool. And then from there, the owner of the dance studio actually let my mom know about an audition for a feature film called Newsies. And, we all know Newsies now as the big Tony Award winning play and all that stuff. But it started off as a film with a little actor, you may know him, Christian Bale, you know what I mean? And so, it was interesting. I think there was 6 or 7 of us kids only. I mean, and you got to understand, like when they do these dance auditions, it's cattle call. I mean, I'm talking lines around the corner because you're working with Kenny Ortega. Some of the guys that did the music were guys that did these super popular Disney soundtracks and stuff like that. So it was this big thing. They knew that Anne Margaret was a part of it, and Anne Margaret obviously is Anne Margaret. And there was just a lot of buzz around this film. And we were supposed to bring back the musical. So anyway, so I show up, and my whole style, I was MC Hammer pants, I was a King's jacket, I was patent leather shoes with rubber bands for the laces. Like I was, like I said, stuck out like a sore thumb. And I ended up completing the audition and leaving, not thinking anything of it at all, zero. Like I wasn't, and this was all new to me. This was the first audition I've ever been on, and it was just like a whim type thing. And, a month later, I get a phone call saying that I'm one of the kids chosen for to be a featured dancer for the film. And like I said, there was only, let me see, Dave, DJ, me, Brian. There was 6 or 7 of us only. 6. There were 6 of us, kid dancers, out of hundreds that auditioned. So, when I was at the audition, I was like, no, it's impossible. There's no way. All these kids that are trained doing twirls and spins and leaps and jumps and all this stuff. And I'm just a hip hop dancer. Like, I know nothing about any of that stuff, not trained whatsoever. So anyway, I get that phone call. I end up getting booked and I'm on set. I'm rehearsing 4 months or 3.5 months and shooting 3.5 months on this major budget film that was shot at Universal Backlot. And that's kind of where I got my start. And I had no agent. Kenny Ortega, we know Kenny Ortega now is tons of things, you know what I mean? Back then he had a few different credits under his belt with Dirty Dancing and a couple other things. But since then, obviously High School Musical and all of the Michael Jackson tours and all that stuff. I mean, other movies, Hocus Pocus, there's tons of stuff that he's done, but at the time, you know what I mean? And so anyway, it was just very interesting. And I'm on set with all these adults, all these, and I'm in school. Jaleel White from Family Matters, his teacher was our teacher. Like it was just an interesting thing on how that all came to be. And, still to this day, one of the best times of my life, not just of my life, but experience working in the profession. The camaraderie that everybody had, the relationships that we all built. I still have a relationship with what, probably 10 or more people that I worked with, like a good relationship, like Brian Friedman. We know Brian Friedman from Britney Spears and X Factor and all that stuff, the creative director. My buddy OG, who I'm actually producing his first record, finally. But OG's the voice of Miles Morales, and he's a huge voiceover guy, and some of these other guys anyway, but we're still friends, you know what I mean? And that's what was built, when we did this project.
Amazing. I mean, it's such a iconic like movie as well, like from that period of time, like one like Three Ninjas that continues to have a life, forever. So yeah, it's amazing.
Well, the cool thing, like I'll just tell you like a little backstory of like some of the stuff that the kids used to do on set. There was, like I said, there was a few of us, and we weren't always used, but we had to be on set because we were the featured dancers, and we were throughout the movie. So we had, and we were at Universal Studios, the back lot. So they had that tram go by. I don't know. Have you ever been out to the States? And
yeah, I love Universal Studios. It's like my happy place.
Okay, perfect. So right before King Kong, Old New York Street, that's where we shot it. So we would hop on the back of the trams and go through King Kong and jump off. And in the middle of King Kong, you would hear the driver, okay, guys, do not be alarmed. We have Newsy dancers. They're shooting a film. Newsy dancers are on the back. They're not strangers. They're not hoodlums. They are actually workers in a film. And because we would hang off the backside, like it was, you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying go and do that, but it was just, and we never got in trouble. We never got in trouble. But anyway, it was such a fun time. And then, fast forward, the movie was a big flop in the theater. It was a big flop because, now you look at it and you see tons of musicals and you see, people, just enjoying the essence of what a musical is. But at the time, everything in this industry is on timing, and it was ahead of its time, and so because it was such a great soundtrack and story, which was loosely based off of a true story, by the way. It was picked up, as we know now, for Broadway. So that brought a whole new life. It had an underground cult following, but that brought a whole new life to the film because of the success of the play. And so I want to say, what was this, about 5 years ago now, they invited us to the actual cast of the movie to the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. And at the time, at I want to say the Palladium. It's not the Palladium. What's the name of that theater? But anyway, so we went and had a screening of the movie, of kind of just get together type thing. And after the movie, they raised the screen and there was the cast of the play.
No way.
Which was super cool.
Like
Yeah, it
worlds
was super cool.
colliding.
And so it was a really cool photo op. Like everybody that was on, that was in the film, got upstairs and we met and intermingled and, took photos and shook hands and all that stuff. And so that was super cool. But anyway, so fast forward from, I'm long-winded if you couldn't tell. So
Perfect. It's all good.
He was like, I just got to edit. I'm good. And then, so from there, I was agentless. I had no agent, no manager, no nothing. This is my first, job ever. And so at the time, Judy Savage was like the agent for kids. I mean, she had the Full House girl. She had the Olsen twins. She had Leonardo DiCaprio. She had Edward Furlong. She had the list of people. She even had Aaron Lohr, who's another one of Aaron was actually in Newsies as well. Aaron Lohr played much,
Mighty
but
Ducks.
Aaron is there you go. Yeah. So we had the same agent. And so anyway, she came because I don't know whatever relationship the casting had. Maybe it was because of Aaron. I don't know. I'll call him up and find out. I don't know. It's interesting. I just thought about that right now. But anyway, so she comes out to watch me do my thing and liked what I did. And so I ended up signing with her. And one of my first auditions for her was Three Ninjas. You like that segue? Oh,
perfect segue. Yeah. Professional. I loved it.
Was Three Ninjas. And, and at the time, I'm a kid. I love being around the creatives, and I wasn't thinking anything of it. Like, you don't get tainted in your mind until you get the concept of bills and money about the industry. You know what I mean? Everything is just fun and play, and you get to be around like-minded kids. Like, for once in your life, you're not the oddball. Everybody is like you. Like, everyone's crazy and super outgoing and energy, and they sing, oh, you sing, I sing, you dance, I dance, oh, you act. It's just a really nice feeling, you know what I mean, to have that. And so audition, I book it, show up on the set, and here's a spoiler alert. Had no idea that it was double cast. We had no idea. My agent didn't know, my mom didn't know, I didn't know. I didn't care, frankly. But
wait, hang on. Sorry. What do you mean by double cast? You mean that
here we go.
You mean that you and Behar were meant to play the same character, and then they made two? Is that what you mean?
That's exactly what I mean. Neither one of us knew that it was double cast. So so when we show up on set, and I didn't go into it, I remember having a conversation like briefly with Behar, like, because we're like going over lines and stuff, and I was like, oh, I thought that was line, and he was like, no, I'm this guy, you're this guy, it was just interesting, like that type of thing, like just briefly, and I was like, this is strange, and I remember going out and talking to my mom and saying, hey mom, this is split, like I don't have to, and then I'm thinking like, this is wonderful, I don't have to remember all the lines, like I'm like, yes, I'm only gonna do these few lines and he's gonna do those, like this is great, and because I don't know any better, and so anyway, so I guess my mom gets on the phone, calls the agent, this is after the fact. She says, no, you never do that. You never do that. If there's a problem, they didn't let us know. If there's a problem, I would actually call production and we would work it out, because they didn't let us know about any of this. And, Scott shouldn't have done this and the business part of it all. And I'm telling my mom, I don't care. This is fine. Like, who cares? So I don't know exactly how it happened, because then again, this is 30 years ago, but there was some communication between production and myself and my mom, and they said, don't worry, we owe you one. And I'm like, okay, whatever, like, again, kid, don't care, on set, out of school, I'm loving life, doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Owe me one or not owe me one, I'm still good, And so And so basically we shot, everything was done. And then I caught the Beha one and the Kate podcast already. So you guys, your followers are already in tune with the double ending and all that stuff. And so they know about that. But that was a shocker to us, to me as well as it was to them. Like when we go to the premiere and we're watching the movie, we're like, wait, this is weird. You know what I mean? And then being older, you see the political climate that we were in back then, and it makes complete sense. You know what I mean? Because I don't think this film would have had legs like it has had they left that in at that time, because this industry is all about timing, you know, and if you're putting something out there that the people are already you know, it raises the hair, the back of the hair, you know, the hair on the back of their necks up, and they're alert about it. They're going to let you know by not supporting the film. You know, it could have been the biggest flop, and how dare them put this, you know, this African-American kid and get beat up by these white kids. Like, it could have been something like that. So very, very smart, and kudos to, you know, production for seeing that ahead of time. And I, you know, watching the Beha one, Beha was like, I don't give, like, what, it made no difference to me. And of course, me, you know, I made no difference to me neither. Like, it's like, you know, we're kids, we don't know any better, you know what I mean? But so anyway, so yeah, so film is done, everything's great. I go back to school, I ended up booking a commercial in between there, a Suave deodorant commercial where I was a baseball dude, of course, because they typecast you too, mind you, they typecast you. So I get a phone call, and I'm in like, I think going into the 10th grade. I'm going into the 10th grade. When I did Newsies, take it back slightly, I was in the 8th grade. So I lost my whole 8th grade year of schooling, and then portion of the 9th grade shooting the Three Ninjas. And then going into 10th grade is when they called me for the favor. And they said, hey, this is, you know, I believe it was Martha who called, the executive, and she said, hi, you know, that favor that we owe you, we'd like to recast you as the bully. We're doing part 2, which was part 3. And you guys already know all that information too. So I can't give you any more of that. But so we're going to recast you, you know, we're going to give you a name, Darren, and, you know, we'd love to have you back. And I was like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And I'm like, sweet, more time out of school. This rocks.
And it was a bigger part in that one as well, right? Like, as in, not that, I mean, it was a big part in Three Ninjas, but you had like maybe a bit more to do in Kickback, right?
Yeah, because I was the only one. They didn't double cast that one.
Right.
So yeah, so and then Kickback comes about, and there you go, they return the favor, which, by the way, as I've been in the industry for 30 years, wait, how can I be in the industry 30 years? I'm only 30. That makes no sense. So they rarely, I hate to say it, but this is the honest truth, they rarely hold their word. They say what they need to say at that point in time to get you to do what it is that they want you to do. And, you know, so for that, kudos to Sheen Productions for coming back and holding their word, and, you know, and doing what they said they were going to do, because that was awesome. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't thinking anything of it. Like, I wasn't angry on the set of the first Three Ninjas that you know, it was double cast and blah, 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 blah. Me and Beha were friends after the fact. Like, you know, he took me to the set of Poetic Justice, and we met Jenna Jackson. Like, I heard some of her new music. You know, she had a song with Luther Vandross, and we're sitting in a Mercedes listening to the music. And like, you know, we remained friends there for a while after the shoot. And, you know, on set, him and I related to each other, you know, a lot. You know, the culture, it was the culture. You know, I was into, you know, hip hop and R&B, and, you know, he was into the same music. We had the same lingo. That's why I think on screen you see the chemistry. It kind of just, it made sense. Like, we weren't faking that we're trying to be friends. Like, okay, these guys can actually be friends. You know what I mean? So it worked, you know? So kudos to casting, double casting. It just opened up variety for the viewer. You know what I mean? So,
What
but anyway,
that
yeah, man. So that's how that happened. And then Three Ninjas Kick Back comes around, and then I get beat up by a girl at the end, and then my life changes at high school forever. It was the worst.
Wait,
Oh
hang on
my
a
God, it was
second. That
the
you're
worst.
dropping gems. Let's go back a little bit. You're so right. The chemistry between you and Behar is perfect, and even down to you both are wearing such perfect like 90s clothing as well, which is fully in style again. But like by the way, like everything you were wearing in those scenes, and then you like you said, the ending change, so rightly so again, like you said.
Those are our clothes, actually. I don't know if you knew this, Simon. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but those are like that jacket, the bomber jacket that I'm wearing was my jacket.
No way.
The Los Angeles jersey was my jersey. Those pants were mine. The boots were mine. It was all like, I'm pretty sure it was Beha's clothes as well. He just showed up and was like, "This is me." You know what I mean? So I mean, Beha was on cloud nine. You know what I mean? At that moment, he had that big film, like so that was real. Like that was actually us. Like, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, bud.
No, not at all. Yeah, I love that. That's even better. I mean, did you keep the clothes? You must have kept them. You
Well,
didn't,
I
did you?
outgrew them. Of course, I didn't know. I didn't know this was going to be an iconic film like that. I would have, folded the clothes up and put them in a little, like kind of what you have in your office back there. I didn't know. I would have given it to you. Had I known that, I definitely would have just mailed it off to London and said, "Here you go, man. Thanks for support." Actually, I do have something that I'm going to give you that I think you're going to be stoked about. I've held on to it. I'm not going to tell you what it is until you get it.
Okay,
Well, I think you're going to dig it because I can see that you're memorabilia, dude.
Yeah, they're not hit. Do you know, that's funny. So yeah, they're normally I have some of the Mighty Ducks jerseys that are from the movies, but they're currently being reframed. I'm getting the colors changed, but this is the stuff that I live on. Like I love all of that. So yeah, that's awesome that you kept some stuff. If you ever sent me anything, I think I'd die. So that's that would well,
no,
I mean,
I'm going to now. I mean, I will definitely send you something, and I think when you get it, you're gonna be like, "What in the world? Are you kidding me?" And mind you, it's the only one. It's my memorabilia that I kept, but I'm gonna pay it forward and give it to you. I mean, you're keeping this movie alive, and this was your childhood, and you said it was your favorite, and you're a super fan. Man, you deserve it. It's yours.
wow,
It's yours.
Overwhelmed. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I will send you something in return.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Of something. I will. Yeah, thank you.
That sounds great, man.
Well, so
wait, go back though. You were saying it's cool the way you could see the chemistry on and then I cut you off on Ford. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Yeah, the chemistry is perfect, and then like you said, so the ending changed, rightfully so, and for all of the reasons that we know. So yeah, definitely a smart move. But the basketball game changes, so they win, so that
Right.
they have the bikes and whatever. But I mean, within that, there's the two cuts of the movies anyway. So like the basketball game is like a bit more physical in the other cut. I mean, did you play basketball like when you were that age? Like, did you do your own? I know mainly you were like sort of on defense, but was that all your stuff? You didn't have to have like a double or anything?
Yeah, no, man. Now with that basketball game, man, I got flack and just it was horrible because yes, I did play ball, and I played ball with a group of guys, and we were good, and we used to play tournaments with each other, and we go down to the elementary schools because they were lower rims and you'd be able to dunk on them. And yes, no, I played ball. And so in that scene, I get thrashed by somebody. And look, Max, I love you to death. Michael, love you guys to death. But no, they couldn't play. Okay, I'm gonna drop some gems. No, they couldn't play. And there was an actual stunt double for Max when I push him. That wasn't Max. It was a stunt double, obviously. I mean, here's the thing. I was probably 5-6 years older than those guys. you know. So I was I was just going into, I was finishing my junior high school, going into high school, and I just, yeah. So there you go. So it was a downplay. It was a downplay for sure. Thank you for saying it looked real, because I did my best.
Part in the basketball scene where Colt, Max's character, he sort of steps to you, like, as if he's going to fight, and then he takes the ball. And with all due respect to him and to the martial arts and everything, just the stature, it looks like that you would have absolutely killed him. So, like, you can kind of see the I don't know, that's kind of the point, is where it's more of a miraculous thing when they win eventually. Well, actually, here's a question. So Rocky does like the amazing sort of gravity defying
the Michael Jordan from the free throw line. That's where they got it from. Yep.
Right. Which is perfect 90s. It's brilliant.
It was great. It's great. The kids were like, "Oh my God, it jumped from the free throw line." Ah! And you did it too, I'm sure. "Oh my God, he dunked on him." So they knew what they were doing.
Well, I mean, so that originally it was all going to be planned in, and then they still lose anyway, right? Because they gave you a 9-point lead, which is insane. It's just crazy tactics.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. That I'm trying to remember exactly. Yeah, because nobody really touched on that. Let me go back in my head and figure this out. I don't remember if it was Bayard that scored the basket or I scored the basket, but it's out now, so you can tell me, because I don't recall. Who scored the point?
Do you know the fit? I'm not 100%. I could bring it up, but because I have that copy now, but I've only seen that version like 2 or 3 times, where I've seen, because I didn't even know it existed, where I'd seen the original version. I must have seen it like 30, 40 times. Like, it was, I used to take it to school with me in my like backpack to just travel around with it. But that's a good, interesting question. I mean,
that's awesome.
How many times do you think you have seen that movie?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. When it was in the theater and I was going to the movies, because I was a movie buff too. Like, I love to go to the movies, and it was just something that we did. I would go into the theater every time I was in the movie theater to see what scene was on. I definitely would go in to see, and I will say, there was one time, particular time I remember. I walked down the aisle and I sat down, and it was like right before the basketball scene was about to start, and I sat down, and I remember sitting down, and then after the scene was over, I got up and I left, and there were these 2 little girls that were sitting on the opposite side, and they looked at me and they were like, I just ran out and I went into the original movie that I went to go see at the time. But like, I went in there every time I was in the movie theater, but watched it full. I would say maybe, I don't know, dude, like maybe over the course of 30 years, maybe 10, I would say. That sounds like a good number.
That's
10-ish.
That's
somewhere in there. It's a solid number, right?
It's less than Kate's. Kate's was she reckoned about 100 maybe.
Well, but Kate had her, she had a bigger role, and she was throughout, and she was into the store. You know what I mean? It was different. And I got a funny story about Kate too. And I was watching her podcast, and I was like, I wonder if she's gonna bring it up, but she didn't. But I'll tell you about that. Okay. We can finish talking about this one, and then I can tell you the Kate story.
Okay, great. Well, yeah. I mean, so you have all of that. And then the scene that was cut is on YouTube if people are interested. I mean, it is interesting to watch, and I mean, the thing is it's innocent in its approach. Like, there's nothing about race in it. It's just something that happens at the end, and it's sort of giving the bullies the sort of comeuppance. But obviously to look at it and to have, the only black person in the cast pretty much. I think there
Well, no, the detective.
the detectives,
Yeah.
but I mean, pretty much. And so it obviously it looks bad, but that the scene is on YouTube, and I think it's got like 500,000 views or something, if not
Does
more.
it?
But it's really good. I mean, you're holding Kate actually in it.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
like
holding her.
holding a
Yeah.
hostage.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Exactly.
was that part like fun to shoot? Because then Behar was saying it was like he liked that scene because it was like had the choreography in it and everything.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I don't know why that I didn't get struck by somebody. And see, at the time too, I already had training. I had stunt training and fight training because I did that in Newsies. And Mike Vendrell was one of the top guys. So I was actually, I was in it. Like I knew stunt coordinating, like I knew what was going on. And so it was interesting that they didn't utilize me like that. But it was a fun shoot, but like you said, I was standing there holding Kate, and I was getting worked. I didn't get a chance to get in with the fun. But yeah, I'm fighting and stuff like that is super fun. Oh, and here's another one. The guy that comes out of the house with the trash can in a scene where it's a separate scene, but he's riding by who is it?
The kids ride by and sort of startle him.
I think it's Rocky riding by, and there's a guy with a trash bag.
Yeah.
Well, and then he goes like this to try to get out of the way of the trash bag, and the trash bag goes all over the place. That's the stunt coordinator.
Oh.
That was the stunt coordinator. Yeah, that was him. So,
but do you know
they always throw themselves in the movies, dude. The stunt coordinators or stunt guys, like they always find a way to have like a scene or two, which is as they should. You know what I mean? That's awesome. So, but yeah, he was the stunt coordinator. I wish I would have been able a chance to engage and had some combat. That would have been fun, but
you should have been kicked or hit like in the nicest possible way. Like, yeah. Well, you do get that.
I deserved it, man. I pushed him.
You did. And that's a nasty push as well.
I was just saying, I pushed. Yeah, dude. But he was the stunt guy. So he told me to push him. He told me, he was like, he goes, push me, man. Push me for real. Push me. And there was a mat underneath it. I got a picture I'll post on my Insta, but there was a mat there, like a gymnastics mat. And, he jumped off of an apple block, which is like a stool type thing that we use. Excuse me. And so it made it look like it was like this big thing because he's a stunt guy, and that's what he does. And but I did push him. I did throw him, pretty hard, and it allowed him to kind of fall down. That wasn't Max. That was the stunt. That was his stunt double.
Well, that was it is like a nasty fall. Like it's sort of like that's a bit, because the whole movie, even the version that did get released, that is a bit more like kid friendly, is still like a kid movie that would never exist now. It's the same like when they did the 1990 version of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where it's like super dark and but done. It's for kids, but it's but everyone enjoys it, and it's more drama to it, which I think is what makes these movies more special, because they don't exist anymore. So it's the only way to get them is to go back. And then
it's before cancel culture. It was before cancel culture. Like you can't say anything without somebody's, this guy said. But that's and maybe I'm about to get canceled. Who knows? What's crazy to me is, we're kids. And we knew nothing about what was going on, and then when we grow up, we know nothing about what's going on. I didn't know that somebody was a different race than me. I only believe in one race, the human race. I believe in one color, it's green. If you have green, which signifies money, you will be in this group of people. Okay. And that's the bottom line, in my opinion, my humble opinion. You can bash me, hate me, do what you want. That's my opinion. Okay. But it's like, we don't know anything until we're told or we're taught, And so like, for instance, when Beha was saying, on your podcast, like, man, I didn't know no dip, like whatever, because that's real. We don't know, like he was my boy. I was his boy. We were friends, everybody, It's like, I didn't know that I was the only white kid. I had no idea until somebody pointed it out that I was the only white kid. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, unfortunately, these days, you know what? I'm gonna stop because I don't want to go super political, and that's not my stilo for this particular podcast. So I'm not gonna go there. But yeah. But anyway, but that was like kind of my 2 cents on that. Like, you know, if we would just stop instilling fear into people, you know, and all of that, you know, you'd be able to live as an adult with a childlike heart, which is what we're meant to do anyway. And I think that's why there's so many things going on in this world today, is that we have lost that connectivity to who we actually are. You know what I mean? And we've become these disgruntled adults with unresolved childish issues, you know, instead of playful and joyous kids and enjoying a human experience, you know, which is what you just stated about the movies that you guys grew up on. You see all these cancel culture movies, they want to cancel everything. Cancel Grease, cancel this, cancel that, cancel this. It's like, what? You know, it makes no sense to me. I'm just glad they didn't come after Three Ninjas. I don't know, you know, maybe, I hope they don't, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Anything is possible, especially, you know, nowadays. But
I think
I agree with you, man.
I think there's parts of, yeah, I think there's parts of like things sit in a certain time period, like say Grease, for example. Like Grease is a classic movie that is beloved by everyone, but I'm sure there are parts that are wrong with it. Like if they were to shoot it now, they would shoot it differently, but it exists then, you know, so we can enjoy it from the perspective of then, and with our perspective now, no, yeah, okay, some of these parts aren't right, and if we did it now in 2021, you know, the cast would be more diverse, and you know, there'd probably be, you know, take the sexism out or whatever it is that was wrong with Grease, you know, and
right.
and there you go. But I think we can still enjoy it for what it was. I guess there is a line with that, because there are some films and things that you know, that should be cancelled, I guess. But I agree with these things that are beloved and part of the ethos of our culture, of pop culture. It's like, let's just enjoy it, and like you said, just have that fandom. And yeah, so if
Yeah,
they
man. And you know, the other thing with this industry, when you realize that there's only, you know, 3 companies that own everything: media, film, television, radio, anything. There's 3 companies, and the agenda is to create an anarchy for division. And they do that by instilling fear and allowing the things that they should be monitoring, like the violence, like the abusive drugs, like the actual things that bring humanity down. Okay, they highlight. Why? That's to keep people trapped in their minds. And that's the unfortunate thing about this industry, which is one of the reasons why I took an 8-year sabbatical from it. You know what I mean? And one of the reasons why I dove into my music, which I guess we'll get into later, is because I wanted to be able to speak to people in a way that they can hear me. You know, a lot of times when you speak to people, they're canceled off before you even complete what you're saying. They've already thought about what they're going to say back to you, right? But when you do it with music, see, music touches your insides, right? Music is the only universal language that everybody understands, no matter what language it is, because it touches you from the inside out. So that's why I went into that realm, because I had so much to say. But I know that if I come out and say certain things with the way that society is, or the way that the industry takes you, you know, which is how society boxes you, then I'm dead in the water. You know what I mean? So I was like, pivot, let me go this way and let me get this stuff out, and then I'll come on back, you know. And so, but anyway, man, that's kind of my passion, is to open people's eyes to humanity, in a sense where, you know, it's it's like blind leading the blind, unfortunately. And I don't think people are aware of actually what is going on, you know. And so it's disheartening at times, you know, and to know that this industry that I love so much, the creative aspects of it all is used as a weapon, you know, and that saddens me, So anyway, we got a little bit sidetracked there, but
That's
yeah,
good.
I just wanted to kind of share that, because it goes along the lines of what you were talking about with the violence of the film and everything like that. And you know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
want to cancel this, then you better say something about chopping somebody's head off, or having this dude strung out on drugs and having it be okay. You know what I mean? Like that. Come on. What's important here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Painting a picture that this is wrong because somebody, went down this road with I mean, how can I explain it? Like, to alert to kids that there is something when they know that it's not, to me, the kids aren't naive. The kids are genuine. You're not born with these crazy opinions and crazy anxieties about life. You're not born with that. You're taught that. So to me, if you're going to take a stance to point the finger at something, you're actually illuminating something that these kids knew nothing about, and you're polluting their minds. You're polluting them,
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah, and all hatred is taught behavior, and yeah, that's true for sure, for sure.
Well, let's go back. I'm sorry. I go off on little tangents sometimes.
No, it's what podcasts are all about. I mean, so
Okay, cool.
tell tell us the if you will, the your story about Kate.
Yes, Sony Pictures. She told you that she was a writer and all that, and she was working in that capacity within the industry. So I had auditioned for a TV show called Close to Home. So Kate was working at Sony Pictures, and she was working, I'm not quite sure exactly what her role was. She could have been a casting associate, which actually makes more sense. She was probably because that's what she ended up getting into and then spawning for the writing career, from what I gather from when I watched the podcast. Which kudos to you, Kate. If you're watching this, kudos. Super stoked for your success. That's awesome. That's awesome.
For sure.
But so I end up auditioning for the show that she's working for, Close to Home. And I walk in, and Kate's beautiful. I walked in and I was like, you look familiar. And she was like, yeah, you do too. And then there you go. And then we said who we were and whatever. It's like, oh my God. I ended up booking that TV show, by the way, called Close to Home. So that was cool. But yeah, that was the last time I saw Kate, and the first time I saw Kate since the premiere.
That's crazy.
And this was, I want to say this was like 2005. I think it was about 2005, because that aired in 2005. So like 4 or 5, somewhere in there. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I walk right in, open the door, and there she is. I'm like, wait, you look familiar. I was like, well, hold on.
That's crazy. I mean, and you said that that you watched that podcast episode. So I have to ask you. So when Kate was saying about that, her and Martha were shopping around the idea of a Three Ninjas TV show, like I guess, in the vein of sort of like it could have been like a Cobra Kai situation, which is like one of the biggest shows in the world right now. I mean, how did that make you feel hearing that? Like, if there would have been a space for you to revive your role, or been put in in homage, or have a new role? I mean, how did you feel? Had you heard about that before? Was that the first time you heard that?
I have not heard of that until I watched that podcast, dude, and I was stoked. I was so stoked. I was like, okay, where's Kate's number? Going through my phone. I was like, do I have her number? Oh, damn, I don't have her number. I definitely would be a part. Are you kidding me? I'm just getting back into the industry too. So that's, perfect. That would be amazing. You know what I mean? And I write too. So I'm just like, the stories that we can come up with about the segues of life of these guys and these characters, and how, they come back and all that. Absolutely. I definitely would be a part of that. Are you kidding me? At any capacity. I don't know what role it would be if it is revising, revising Darren or whatever. Like I would definitely be involved, or want to be involved. Absolutely.
I still hold like a candle in the wind of hoping that it could happen someday, because I think there's a space for it. I mean, even if they did it as a more sort of like Disney-fied version, like, so there's like, you've got Cobra Kai here, and then you've got more of, they could exist in separate ways, like Karate Kid and Three Ninjas
Yeah.
do anyway, like yes, they both have martial
Right.
arts in, but they're both very different. I love both. I mean, everyone loves the Karate Kid, right?
Yeah, well, what's funny about that is there was always this with Karate Kid and Three Ninjas. Are you a Three Ninjas fan? Are you a Karate Kid fan? I like Karate Kid. I like Three Ninjas. Like it was always that. Like I can always remember, dude. Like, like somebody found out I was in blah 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 blah, and they're like, "Oh man, Karate Kid's way better than Three Ninjas, man." And here I am, in my 30s. Like this happened when I was in my 30s. Like it's the weirdest thing, Simon. I'm recognized. I don't know what it is, but I'm still recognized as that 16-year-old kid in Three Ninjas, and I'm 44. That's my age. I'm 44. No, anyway, you can Google me and find out how old I am. I'm 44. I'm proud of it, damn it. But
It's a good
but
age.
yeah, dude,
It's a good age.
I'm still recognized. Like it's hilarious. But yeah, there was always that little friction. So yeah, man, if that ever came out, like I'm gonna look her up. And then she said that she reached out to people. She didn't reach out to me. I'm gonna reach out to everybody and put together a reunion. And then we're gonna fly you from over the pond, and you can come on over and be in the mix of everybody, man. We're gonna put together the show. I'll perform. I'll have some other people perform, and we just mingle and have a party, man. A 30-year Three Ninja party.
Yeah, next
How does
year,
that
30
sound?
years. That sounds like heaven. So
So I gotta get to planning. I gotta call these people, man. Yeah, man. I would definitely do it. I would definitely do that new Three Ninja TV show on Netflix for 30 episodes.
yeah. Yeah, well, who knows? I mean,
Right?
I still hold hope that it can happen someday. Maybe someone will watch this, be inspired, and they take Kate up on her script and whatever, and see what happens. But so okay, so
Absolutely.
we go into Three Ninjas Kick Back, and like you said, it's confusing how they were released like out of order. I mean, how did you feel about? So you're coming back, which is amazing. How did you feel about the kids being recast? I mean, I know that Max continued through, but did you think that was going to affect the feel of the movie, or you just saw it as this is just par for the course?
Honestly, I was a little bit confused when I remember being on set, like, okay, wait, that's a different Tum Tum. I was like, that's his name is what? It's not Chad. What's his name? His name is Evan. Okay, that's weird. Okay, but okay, cool. How you doing? And mind you, little Evan was little Evan. Like Evan came up to like my hip. It was that, and I at that time was probably 17 years old. You know what I mean? Like growing and doing my thing. I was growing little whiskers, and you know what I mean? So like I was growing, and this kid was, so it was interesting. And then Sean, I think his name was Sean Fox, right?
Yeah.
Sean was cool. The new Rocky. He was super cool. I remember Sean being super cool. Like Sean was super cool, and then Max was just Max. We already knew each other. And Max is great. Like we chatted briefly after as well. You know what I mean? And then that was kind of that. I mean, this was in the era of no social media. So back then, if it was now, then of course we'd be still connected. That way. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, okay. Like I didn't even know I was going to be in the film, and then I get a phone call, and then I'm here, and I'm like, what? Oh, okay, where's Beha? Like, where's Beha? Right here, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it was interesting, So yeah,
And then that movie, it's like a different kind of tone to the first one, but I mean, you're again in kind of like the iconic scenes of that movie, in like the ending and the baseball game, and you're the pitcher. And I mean, how did you enjoy doing like the baseball scenes?
I loved it. I loved it. And actually that home run that I hit, I actually hit a home run.
Oh,
That was
nice.
real. That was real. That wasn't fake. That was actually real. So when you go back and look at it, look at the swing, look at the stroke, just watch the follow through. No, it was cool. It was great. I was an actual pitcher too. I pitched, you know what I mean? Like little league and stuff like that. So like it was kind of in my wheelhouse. I enjoyed it. The funny part was you need to throw it at his head. You need to hit him in the head. And can you do that? And I was like, yeah, I could do it. I said, but I'm not going to hit him in the head with the regular baseball. I go, you guys saw something? Oh, no, we have this rubber, you know, and obviously Mac was okay with it. And so, yeah, that was an actual rubber ball that I hit him in the head with, which is cool. But I mean, what else about that? It was fun. It was long. It was a long shoot that day. It was hot. It was very hot. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a very good time. I remember laughing hysterically at the umpire, who later, I guess he got cast on that 70s show, but like, I just remember like that dude just making me laugh and just busting up like all day long. He was hilarious to me. And then the other part of that, the baseball scene, Evan, right? I'm running home, right, to home plate, and I had to run with my arms because they did the slow motion and sped up or whatever they did. And that was the most awkward thing in the world because I had to do this like thing, right? And then I had to hit Evan. I'm telling you, Evan's probably, how old is your son?
6 months.
Oh, okay, well, no, Evan was bigger than that. But Evan was a tiny, tiny dude, man. He was like yay big, like he was tiny. And I think I was probably almost fully grown. I was probably 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". And I'm running with these big arms coming down. And I just remember like grabbing him, and I'm supposed to hit him in the, that. I just remember like, go back and look at the film. You'll notice what I'm saying. I end up grabbing him, kind of picking him up and laying him down because I felt so bad. That was funny. I remember that part. That part was super funny. And then the scene where something about it's not over, extra innings in the parking lot, something, come on, let's go fellas, or something like that. I don't remember that being in the script. I think it was thrown in after. It's like, we need to have a transition to get you to, say this, say that, say this. I don't recall that. I probably should have fact checked that before I said it, but I don't remember that actually being in the script. So I think that was kind of like an add-on, like an ad-lib type thing. And to be honest with you, Simon, the whole shoot was like a whirlwind because I first of all didn't know I was going to be in the film. For one, there was no audition, so I had no idea. Second of all the stuff they had me do, I was like, okay, I'm got a lot of camera time here. This is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. And then at the end of it, when they hit me with it and said that Mio's going to beat me up, I was like, oh,
you got what you wanted. You finally got hit, but
I did, but now I'm in high school and I'm beat up. First, I'm riding a pink bike in the first one, right? I'm riding the pink bike. And then now I'm getting beat up by the girl and I'm in high school. You have to understand that. You went to high school. You know what I mean? And that's all you hear at the end of the movie, which was not told to me. I had no idea that the only thing you're going to hear is me screaming and hollering as she hits me. And that's all you hear. And then all of a sudden it's credits. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, thankful for it, but it's just like, whoa, kill me now. Because when I get back to school, this is going to be horrid, and sure enough, man, we can get into that too, if you'd like. But yeah, I loved it. It was great. It was great, man. It was a good time. Surprising time because I had no idea any of this was going on, but I also had no idea it was in depth that they were going to take this Darren character. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And then to be not just one scene, but two, and then three, I was like, whoa, okay. You know.
It's awesome, and you were great in it, and it's cool that they were like good on their word, and they got you back. I think that's really cool. Like this is kind of something we've touched on with a few different people, where it's like they've got this like fame, or they've got this notoriety from being in a movie or TV show. Like we had Thomas Tulik on, who was too small in Hook, and he was saying that when he went to like high school and things, that people were actually quite mean to him, which we were saying this is crazy. Like you did a really awesome thing, and then we've had quite a few people say things like that. I mean, was that something that was within your experience, or were people like happy for you that you were in these movies?
No, 100%. You're a fish out of water. Like I kind of was talking about earlier in the podcast, like you're a fish out of water. Being a creative in general, you're a fish out of water. Most people aren't going to get you. You're too hyped. Your energy's this. It's weird. You do this. You're that. You dress different. Your hair is different. You're already a stick out, right? And then to have success and to mesh that in with people that don't understand you from the beginning, it's disaster. And I don't think it's intentional, to be honest with you. I don't think kids intentionally, like we were talking about earlier, I don't think, it's intentional. I think it just starts to happen and they feel like, wait, why is this dude here? Like that makes no sense. Like he's on the screen. Why is he here? Like, because their whole for real, right? And the whole thing that people are taught is if you're a movie star, you're not normal. You know what I mean? You're a movie star. You're on screen. Like you're not normal. You can't mingle with us. And if you do mingle with us, then we need to get your autograph, or we need to ask about this, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. When in reality, we're the same. I just got a different gig than you. You know what I mean? You play baseball, I do movies. It's like you're the star on the baseball team, and I'm somebody that does movies. It's but it was very difficult, man. And here's the other trip part about it is my mom was a public school teacher. Okay. And she refused to homeschool me. Bless her heart. I don't have any ill will towards my mom's decision. It is what it was. And I'm actually thankful looking back, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but she wasn't going to homeschool me. So I said, okay, Mom, I want you to, because I got a little bit of it when I came back from the first Three Ninjas. So there was a little bit of that going on already. And so I was explaining to my mom, like, hey, I need to be homeschooled. Like, I don't want to go to school and get treated this way and get bullied. Like the bully's getting bullied. Like this doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she was like, no. I said, okay, well, when we come to registration for my 12th grade year, I want you to come with me and you can see for yourself. And that's exactly what happened. She came, but my mom thought differently about it. She thought they were appreciating, when in reality, they were making fun. Maybe they were excited that a kid in the movies was at their school, but they didn't know how to display it other than to make fun, because that's what kids do. You know what I mean? So I would get the, whoa, you got beat up by a girl, and my mom, we were walking down the auditorium as we're going to do the registration for the 12th grade year, and I just looked at her, kind of gave her that look, and I go, and she's like, oh, they're just, Scott, they're just happy that you're in school with. I was like, that's not what it is. I go, but okay, no problem, Mom. I had one more year, my senior year. I had one more year to get through. And mind you, it was at the height of that movie. Plus I was in an R&B pop group, back in the day too, singing, in a group. And we had legions of girlfriends and all that stuff. So the guys already hated me. I was that singer and dancer type dude. And it just, yeah, all of that. And so, and then I'm from a small port town in San Pedro, which everyone does the one specific thing. They're longshoremen. And anybody that does anything different, it's like, oh, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're an outcast. So mesh that with everything else. And it was just like, whoa, and so because I stayed in school, I was able to go into the choir room every nutrition and lunch. And I learned how to play piano. So I developed my skill as a piano player. Not that I'm super skilled, but I write with the piano. And my songwriting started to develop. I started working on the voice and everything like that. And that's all because I stayed in school in the 12th grade. So thank you, Mom. Kudos to that. But yes, to answer your question in the long version that I gave you, yes, it's difficult, man. It's difficult, because you are placed in a different world, and I wish it wasn't like that. I wish, you could come back to school and, but I think a lot of kids' parents, instill these things into the kids. Because if it was left up to the kids to kind of work out, I think it would be a different result at the end of the day. But yeah, man, it was an interesting thing to go back to high school doing kids movies. It was very interesting.
It's sad because I mean the kids are acting out of jealousy. Really, it's jealousy. It's like you are in movies. It's what everyone. Well, to me, it's what everyone would want to do. I mean, if you was in my school, I would have just been fanboying. So in a positive way, I'd like to think, But
I mean, look, dude, I can remember a couple of people, right? I can remember a couple of people like being chill, and those people were the people that were in the creative arts. Like, I was in play production, I was in drama, I was in choir, I was in vocal ensemble and dance. And then I had one class that I had to have an elective in, which was like the math, the economics, and then like development or whatever it was. But so I got appreciation from those classes. Absolutely. It was more so the people that didn't understand the creative journey. That, you know what I mean? So I don't want to alienate everything and say it was everybody. No, it was just the people that didn't come from that world. They didn't understand it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, so you go on and you're in loads of things that that are huge shows. I mean, Walker Texas Ranger is something that I've never seen, but I know of it from pop culture. But you're on an episode of that. I mean, how was that experience?
You don't want to know about that one.
Okay. No,
I'm just playing. No, an amazing experience. And it's funny that you brought that up because I just connected with Nicholas Gonzalez, who was the actual lead guest star. I was his second in that episode. And we had a blast. It was shot in Texas, Dallas, Texas, to be exact. It was a blast. It was an amazing time in a sense where I think I was like 24, 25 years old, and I was staying at a suite at the Westin, and I was getting shuttled around, and I got to work with really cool people. I got to meet a legend and work side by side with a legend. You know what I mean? Like Chuck Norris, like, hello, you know what I mean? Like that was my first taste of that, basically, was the legend stuff, yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it. And that actually was my first time that I flew out of state to work. So that was a whole nother experience too, because it was like, okay, this is cool. All right. And you didn't really have to worry about anything because everything was kind of taken care of, because you're kind of their, I don't want to say property, but you're their worker, you're their employee. So they brought you there. So it's their responsibility to make sure everything is taken care of. So that was fish out of water for me because I've never had that experience before. This was before I did any touring or anything like that. So I didn't know, you know what I mean? But Nick and I hung out, went to the pubs, and you know what I mean, and just ate great food, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And I just got back connected with him on Instagram. I told him I had a Throwback Thursday photo of us that I was going to post, that he hits me back. Oh my God, dude. Oh, those were the days. So, and Nick went on to do all kinds of stuff, tons of stuff. He's in The Doctors right now, the CBS show, The Doctors, as a lead. But like I said, man, all these gigs that I've done, like these people that never stopped, that were consistent and responsible, skyrocketed, man, skyrocketed. So
I
another
guess
testament to that.
everyone's path's different though, I guess, right? And
True.
where and the story is nowhere near finished. So we just
I like the way you think, Simon. Thank you for bringing me back down. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I had to go through to what I went through to get to where I'm going. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder.
100%. 100%. We all have to. It's all part of what makes us, isn't it? So
Yeah.
but
Oh, and
that's
there was stunt fighting on Walker too. I don't the episode. I don't know if you've seen it, Golden Boy, but check it out. It's a great episode. But I end up Nick actually, who was a boxer, ends up knocking me out. So there's my knockout. I get knocked out there. There you go. It wasn't Three Ninjas, but now it's in Walker, and he connects. I mean, not really, but you can see that the stunt fighting looks real as heck. And I end up like I'm all excited about it. I end up stabbing this guy, in which is why he ended up hitting me, because I stabbed his friend, and I was a drug dealer, of course, because you're typecast, because I'm the bully, so I'm the drug dealer. But and what was funny with that too, and they always tease me about it, but because of camera angles, they needed me to stab him with my left hand. And so they're like, what are you doing stabbing somebody with your left hand? I was like, well, I wouldn't really stab anybody, guys. Like, sorry. They were like, well, it's perfect because we needed it for this camera angle. And I'm like I do this on a regular, like I'm just out stabbing people. So, but no, that was fun. I really enjoyed Walker. Walker was great.
And then you go on to another massive show with CSI.
Oh, yeah. That was an interesting because see, there was a turn of the industry at that time. There were no crime shows. It was a different type of show that people were into, and they didn't know if the forensics and the violence and stuff like that would be too much for TV, if people would be turned off or turned on, whom they didn't know. And so I can remember on set, and this was William Peterson's first big gig, and he was 40. William, I don't want to age you, buddy, but I think he was about 45, 46 years old. And I remember him telling me, like, this is my first big gig. What do you think? And they were all looking at Marge Hellenberger and Georgia and William. They were looking at an entertainment magazine, and they were on the cover. And it said, could this be the new wave of TV? And this was before it came out, before, you got so many forensic, TV shows now. It's just ridiculous. But it was interesting because I was a part of like the first, and to have the cast be uncertain and unsure about something that became a staple and set the benchmark of what TV is and should be like. It's crazy. I mean, you had 4 different spinoffs from the one?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So yeah, it was amazing. It was awesome. I actually played Paul Arlington, I believe, was the character, and he was a deaf mute. So the audition was interesting because I originally went in and read for a different character, and they brought me back in, and they wanted me not to say anything. They wanted me to be deaf mute. You're like, yeah, I understand. You're long-winded, buddy. Yeah, I get it. But
it's perfect podcasting. Perfect podcasting. That's what it's all about.
Oh man. So I go back in and I'm gonna be reading right this other character, and I look and it says deaf mute, and I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to, like, what do you want me to, just actions? Or, well, we want you to respond as if you are a deaf mute. And I'm like, okay, like I honestly, I have a deaf cousin now, so I know now like what some of the mannerisms would have been, and I have friends that are deaf, stuff like that. So it's like, now I know, but like back then I was like, I don't know. Okay. I ended up booking it. I was like, okay, this was cool, and so the scene is set up where I'm accused of murder, of course, because that's the typecast. I'm either the druggie, the killer, the this or that. And they have this brain printing wave cap that sits over the top of my head, and my brain reacts to pictures. So they were flashing slides of different things, and then my cognizance of that would register via the brainwaves, and that's how they found that I wasn't the killer. So there you go. But yeah, that, you know, and just to know too, like this many years later, was it 20 years later, CSI is coming back. Las Vegas is coming back, and it's not a spoiler alert because they just released a statement not too long ago. So I'm cool to say that, but it's coming back. So I'm like super stoked that I just jumped back into the industry now. And I told my new manager, I'm like, look, I did the first episode of the first season of this show. I want to do the first season of the reboot. Like, come on, you got to get me in there. Like, you know, so yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Coming full circle. But yeah, that show was great.
That's awesome. And yeah, a massive, massive show to have on your resume. I mean, you've worked consistently like throughout here. And I mean, Cold Case, that was another big one. Like, was that one fun?
It was fun, except they cut the crap out of my scene. Like, and that's the other thing. It happens. It's only happened a couple of times in stuff that I've done, but you know, you're at the mercy of the editors, man. And for this particular episode, yeah, I got sliced. But it's interesting about this show, Katie Sackhoff. She was the lead in Battlestar Galactica. Nice. After this, you know that show, the blonde with the short hair. Yeah, that's Katie. So, and there's two stories like this that I wanted to share, which is another testament to stick with it, no matter what you're going through, no matter how it feels, no matter what someone tells you or how you doubt yourself, because we're our own worst enemy. Stick with it. It only lasts but a minute. If you can get through that and push through, the other side is amazing. You know, the other side, what you've worked so hard to achieve, is there if you can just push through, people. So this is another case of that. I told you I had two, but this first one, we're sitting on the honey wagons. We're sitting there on the trailer having a fag. And I said that because you're in London, so I know what, you know what it is, you know. And for people that aren't, you know, across the pond, it's a cigarette. And we're chatting, and she's like, she was in Halloween 5, and she tells me, she says, you know what, I've had my success. Like I had my shot, and it just didn't happen. And, you know, I think I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to go back to school, and, you know, I just can't do this anymore. It's just, you know, I don't know, you know, that was that type of conversation, you know. And I'm like, well, no, stick with it. You never know. You know, the optimist in me. At that time, I turned extreme pessimist later on in life. I'm back to the optimist again, but but I have my moment. But anyway, so fast forward from Cold Case, I think it was about a year, maybe 2 years tops. She's the lead in Battlestar Galactica, and she's got billboards all over Hollywood. And I was like, holy crap. And so there you go, folks. Stick with it, persevere. Don't listen to the one that's telling you to hang up your you know, your acting chops. Just push through, persevere, or whatever it is you do in life. You got to push through when it's pushing back. That's the only way it works. So that's what happened on that show. That was an interesting, you know, situation there. It was cool, and I'm super happy for her. I'm super happy for her that she stuck it out, and she, you know, she kept going. Kudos to her.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so we've got other things on here as well. The Mentalist, I mean, that was in 2010. I mean, that was pretty big, right? How was that?
Yeah, Simon Baker, and Robin, I will butcher her last name, so I'm not going to say it. Robin T, we'll call her. But that was great. That was a great show. They ended up, I had hair plugs. They wanted hair plugs. This was like this guy. What was my character? Do you know? Are you looking at something?
It was Stu McAlpin.
Oh, Stu McAlpine. Yeah.
Alpine.
So Stu basically was like this techie guy who became super loaded and rich based off of tech. And we're going back to our high school reunion, our 25 year, I think it was, or 20 year or whatever. And again, it's a crime show, so there's a murder involved, and he's testing me to see if I have anything to do with that murder. But within this show, they wanted me to have hair plugs. I had just done working on the month prior. I did Bones, the TV show Bones, the month prior. So my head was already shaved for that character. So what they wanted to do was make me go completely bald and then put this wig on and do the hair plugs. And I was like, you didn't say that at the audition. Like, no, I don't think my head's gonna look good bald. I don't know about that one, They're like, well, what if we shave the front? Shave the front and we'll just put like a little hair plug thing on the front. Like it'll grow back fast and you can wear hats. And I was like, it's like, all right, if it's not my full head, like go ahead. So they ended up shaving the top part of my head and implanted this hair plug sheet. Like, dude, it was. So if you go and watch that episode, you'll see like the hair and part of Simon Baker's line, who's a doll. The guy was amazing. He was a really good dude. Super helpful on set. Just a real good energy. He was a real good guy. But in one of his lines, he says, hard to believe you, Stu. Something about the hair plugs, the high heels, or something like that. There are lines. He was pointing out all of the things that I was over accentuating to make myself feel as though I was important. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that scene was like a comedy scene. It was like comical. It was cool. But yeah, that was a fun show too.
Sleeper Cell as well. What was that one? What was that one like?
Well, like you asked about Cold Case, and I mentioned Katie Sackhoff when she was about to kind of go in a different path, and then she blows up and becomes. And the reason why I'm bringing these up is because, like I said, and I think I've said it a few times within this podcast, you never know what is behind that door. The only person that is going to stop the train is yourself when you get off it.
I like that.
You're not put on this path for some random reason. Like there is a reason you're on the path. You know what I mean? And if it's a passion, there's got to be a purpose connected to that. Whoever you believe in, the God of the universe, right? Or entity that you humbly pray to, right? They're not going to put that fire into you unless it's supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about persevering and pushing through. And here's another example of that. Sleeper Cell. I was with Aaron Paul, who everybody knows Aaron Paul, right? And I can remember the same type of conversation. He was going through some things and whatever, and I was in the same boat. Like I was saying the same exact thing. The difference was he kept going. I stopped. So and you said earlier in the podcast, that everyone has their own journey and everyone has to go through their own thing. And absolutely agree. I completely understand that. But I'm just saying, within this instance, it's interesting how the people that have stuck through and stuck it out and kept moving where it is for them, and somebody like me. I mean, yes, I've had tons of success, still live in my success because I'm having it today and now, and it just happened musically and songwriting and everything like that. But it's just an interesting thing because on that particular show, it was the same type of thing. And again, I was playing a mugger. We were mugging somebody, and it was at the Climate. It was with Michael Ealy too, who became a real popular actor. And the Climate was around like Arab ethnicities, like the Sikhs and stuff like that. So we were basically tormenting a guy that had a turban on that looked like he was from, an Arab descent or whatever. And we ended up getting the crap beat out of us in the train. But yeah, so it was, that was cool too. And, and just to look back on it and be like, whoa, like he kept going, you know what I mean? And then Max Greenfield was actually the other kid. So it was me, Max Greenfield, and the new guy, I think was a big TV show, was Zoe Deschanel that he was in. So it was me, him, and Aaron in that whole scene. It was just interesting how things happen like that. But yeah, it was cool. And then the Nick Nolte thing, I don't know if you were going to ask about that, but the Peaceful Warrior movie was a true story. There was a film that I did with Nick Nolte, and at that moment in my life, I was finally coming to where I was partying way too much. I was making wrong decisions and choices. My head was getting clouded, and I finally started to try to turn it over, right? And I began a philosophy of here and now, which is being present, right? Being present. Nothing happens ahead, nothing happens behind. You can't change. The only thing we can change is now for later. But you can't have later if you can't change now, right? That's the here and now philosophy. Well, Peaceful Warrior is an adaptation of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which was a book written by a college gymnast that shattered his knee. And through the power of here and now and everything that he with of course the physical therapy, but psychologically, he was able to get back and compete again. And it's just, I don't want to say ironic, but it's really cool that I got to do that film at that time because I was struggling with my alcohol abuse. Nick Nolte is notorious for, of going up and down, and I caught him on a sober tip. So to be able to share the screen and behind the scenes with him and him give me words of wisdom of things that he's gone through and stuff like that, man, it was priceless. It was priceless, and so that's one of the ideas, that keep popping in my head now is that, if you stay the course, things usually align. If you're on the right path and you're making right decisions, the idea is, that you stay this path and you stay this course, and things will eventually even out. And the evening out isn't some sort of thing that you can touch or something that you can attain. It's something that you feel. Staying the course leads you to joy and happiness. And within that joy and happiness, if other things happen, great, but stay in that course. And that was one of the things that he shared with me, which was amazing because I was so not happy at that moment. You know what I mean? Even though I'm on set with a legend, I'm still feeling this way in my head. You know what I mean? Which is ludicrous. So you could have $1 million, but feel like you're only worth $10. You know what I mean? So thankfully within that project, I was able to, get those words of wisdom. And then the last thing with that project, the first time we set up to shoot, I'm supposed to be, again, I'm thug in the alley, and I'm supposed to, that's the theme here. Yeah. It's funny because my manager's like, we don't want thugs anymore. We don't want this and we don't want that. I was like, look, it's okay. I'm so opposite of thug in the alley. I'm okay to play it because I know it's not me, so I'm good. And she was like, no, but we want you to be the guy next door or the father or the this or the interest. And I was like, okay, whatever. Anyway, going back, thug in the alley, I'm supposed to intimidate him. Right. Okay, now, right, there you go. The smile cracked on your face and you're like, really? Yes, exactly. Precisely my thought at that moment. And so we get on set, we do rehearsal. Rehearsal was no problem. Coming in with my face, and I'm gonna give him the face, and I'm gonna get in there with him. And he just looks at me. His head was down, or actually was to the side, and he just looks at me and does this number. And I bursted up laughing. I was laughing my ass off. I could, because who am I to intimidate Nick freaking Nolte? Like, are you kidding me? One of the faces that if looks could kill, one of the faces that if looks can kill, and I'm supposed to intimidate this dude? Like, what? So we did that about twice before he said, okay, look, man, come on, dude, hold it together. And I was like, all right. But yeah, I laughed like twice. And by this time we had already had conversation. And so like we were cordial to each other. So it wasn't like a, come on, man, get it together. It was more like, okay, we get it. I understand, but now please intimidate me. Come on, man. You know, it was that type of thing. So, but yeah, anyway. There you go. So I went off on a little tangent there. Sorry.
No, it's perfect. I love it. That's awesome. Well, so then we get to a point where in like from 2010, you go on like a hiatus, a sabbatical, so to speak, and focus on music. So can you tell us a little bit about, the musical journey?
Yeah, for sure. So the music was always happening simultaneously. It just wasn't a main focus because the acting kept booking, like for from what, from like 92 to I'd say what, 2010. It was just a constant audition, and I was working, and so I'd always done the music. I've always, because that's, if we go back in the beginning of the podcast, I was started that way as a dancer and into the music and everything like that. And I basically told my agent, I said, you know what, I need to take a break. I was up for one of Ryan Murphy's big projects. It leaves my mind. It's such a big project. I can't remember the name of it. What's the big one that he's got? Horror Story, American Horror Story. Okay, the first season of that. And wow. I ended up getting to the point where I don't know if my agent wasn't telling me the full truth or whatever the case may be. There's backstory to that. I'll spare the details. But I was under the impression that I had booked it. Okay, the character JD, I believe is the character's name, or is that the real guy that plays him? Anyway, but I ended up getting unbooked. And there was this new thing that happened where SAG joined, and I'm going to get to the music in a minute, but this is the segue to it. SAG joined with AFTRA. AFTRA was the stage and radio union. SAG was the TV and film union. They ended up merging. Well, when that happened, they knocked out any type of, I'll say, pull that actual screen actors had, because they were being undercut by AFTRA artists. Or you didn't have to be part of the union at all. And they would Taft-Hartley you, which means that they would float your joining fees, right? So that kept happening. And of course, I took it as though I'm just not interested, and personally, happening to me, because it did over and over again. And I ended up taking this break. So within this break, I had all these things to say, and what better way to say it than through this music, and this time in life too, there was a lot of different things going on. There was musically, things were changing, I guess you could say, and people were getting pushback. Like the music was overplayed, all that NSYNC and Backstreet and Britney and Christina and Jessica and 98 Degrees, and all that genre was being over pushed and just saturated. So anybody that was associated within that type of realm was automatically like, no, not interested. So, I got a lot of pushback from that, because that was me. That was my genre. Like, I was into that. I just never had a transcontinental company pick up my group. My company, the company that ran my group, wasn't as business savvy as Lou Pearlman. You know what I mean? And so that's really what happened, because, it's the formula, and I had it with the guys that I was with. It just wasn't the thing. But anyway, so moving forward, I wanted to reinvent myself. So I'm in at this time I was in North Carolina, which was where the guy that I started co-writing with originally was originally from New York, came to Hollywood. He's a vocal coach, so he started doing vocal coaching for American Idol and all this other stuff. And then it got to be too much for him too. He was like, I want out of here. James Lugo's his name. And they ended up moving to North Carolina. They ended up having family and kids and all that, which is where his wife's family is from. And I ended up randomly giving him a call. And like, hey, dude, do you remember me? Blah, 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 blah. He was like, yeah. I was like, dude, I want to do a rock album. And he was like, you got to understand, I was a hip hop head, R&B hip hop head, dude. Like, so, you know, my pants have been 36 from the time my waist was 28. So it was like, you know what I mean? So, and he knew that when I used to do stuff at his studio and do vocal lessons with him and stuff like that, like I couldn't have been more distant from who this guy was, you know what I mean? And so he was like, you want to do rock? What? And I was like, yeah, man, I just want to do something different, you know, and the climate of the industry right now, like, I just feel like I want to do something different. So I ended up flying out there, and within the sessions, you know, things started developing. And Scooter, I've always been called Scooter because Scott is a nickname of Scooter, or Scooter's a nickname of Scott. And I felt I was on a new page, like PAGE, turn the page. So that's the name that kind of came to me, Scooter Page. And it was this new approach, this new, fresh, like, kind of just like a journey that I was about to embark on, you know, and it felt good. The music, I was super comfortable with the songwriting and performing to live instrumentation. Like, everything was live. I was used to doing everything electronic. So this way it was just like, wow. Like, I had live instruments, live drums, live bass, live guitars, like everything was live. And then I did all my vocals and that was live. And I was like, whoa, no auto tune. I was like, this is great. You know what I mean? And so that started happening. And then a publicist that I used to work with way back in the day, there was this film called Witchcraft that I did. And she ended up getting me some press on that or whatever. She ended up starting, she was a big publicist that had big clients. I'll just leave the names out of it, but she had big clients. And so she started her own record label distributed by Universal. And I told her I was doing music, and she says, let me hear it. I let her hear the new stuff I was doing. She goes, this is great. She goes, do you want to jump aboard? And I was like, yeah, let's do this. So we ended up doing that. Put it this way, lesson learned. The hard way with labels and signings and giving away things and contracts, and I wouldn't do it again. Put it that way. I don't care how much money you pay me. Not interested, because you're taking away the very thing that keeps me moving and keeps me going, keeps me thriving, you know. And then you've boxed everything, and you own the majority of what I put the work in to do and create with my co-writer. And it was just, yeah, with the whole publishing thing and everything. So anyway, that's how that started. And I was signed to LRT MCA Records, and MCA got bought out by Universal, which is why it was now Universal distributing LRT, because MCA was no more. And then from there, I ended up just consistently just like being inspired musically, you know, and I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And while I was doing the writing portion of it, I started learning the business, learning the ropes, learning what the publishing, what the writers is, what the percentage splits are, you know, what just the way things work. And that was the beginning of the independent artist, the underground DIY movement started happening. And I just kind of fell right into it, you know. And at that same time, I was able to fund everything on my own because I had this job. Now we can rewind back to the podcast. Here's the rewind motion. Rewind. When I said small town in San Pedro where everyone's a longshoreman, well, what do you think happened to me? I went and did the longshore thing because I wanted to fit in, right? But great opportunity. It pays well. It paid well enough for me to do everything I needed to do musically and continue to do musically with my investing, with the promotions and with recordings and with, you know, all of that. I'm able to do that, you know, with there. Now I'm at the place where I can leave there and have a retirement and still do what I love to do. Okay, so yeah, the coming of age, 42, 24 was me kind of coming of age with the sobriety and you know, kind of telling you what I went through to where I'm at now and how I've come out of. And, you know, 42, 24, when you turn it around, it's the same number. 42 was the best year of my life and 24 was the best year of my life.
Right.
So it just made sense, right? And I was telling you stories about that, basically, to get out of kind of the smoke and haze to where I'm at presently. And where I'm at presently, is I like to live on a little planet called Dancecapage Electroland. And I'm also the type of person that likes to do things that people wouldn't expect me to do, because I'm a creative. I like music. I'm not a box. You can't box me. It doesn't happen. I was brought up around this. I was raised with that. I dabbled with this. I fell in love with that. That's all combined, and it's always going to be part of me no matter what. So if I'm feeling dance, I'll do some dance. If I'm feeling rock, I'll do some rock. If I'm feeling hip hop, I'll do some, and that's just the way it's going to be. You don't like it, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But what I've also learned is you have to create music that you like in order to have people like it. Just like you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself, because what you give off, right, is what people are going to receive. 2 + 2 is 4. It's never going to be 3. Right? So when it comes to Dancecapage Electroland, because of this 42-24 and this sobriety, I got so sober that I felt drunk. And I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm dizzy, I'm drunk, oh my God, not that type of drunk. I meant drunk on the fact that people actually are living life like this. You know, the decisions that people are making, the things that people are looking at on TV, on the news, listening to, and don't realize that this is all bought and paid to play. And the stuff that's indoctrinated in with our media is all meant to divide. Like, it was crazy to me. So I was like, yeah, and see, I didn't see any of that when I was drunk. Like, I didn't see it. I was a part of it. You know, until you take yourself out of it, you don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I ended up creating this land called Dancecapage Electroland. And it's right in the middle of Cygnus and the Northern Crux, which they claim, right? When I say they, and I say claim in quotes, it's because, in my opinion, religion is built to divide. It's not to bring together, it's to bring in money. And they've allowed themselves to, and I can get flack for this all over the place, that's fine. You can go ahead and email me, I'll write you back. But in my opinion, okay, it's taking what they need to take in order to serve to a flock that they know they would receive from. But it's the same message. There's a messenger of love. Okay, so within that Northern Crux, let's go back to Dancecapage Electroland, there's Cygnus, that star. Okay, and I don't know if you looked at any of my stuff or listened to any of the music or anything like that. I needed a intergalactic type, like, porthole voyage to get to this place, because it's up in space, right? It's up in this different dimension. So I had to do it with electronic music, dubstep and dance and all that stuff, trance and you know, dance pop. So I've created this land, and within this land, I'm telling you the story of what exists within this land in Dancecapage Electroland, starting from the beginning of the introduction, going all the way down to the conclusion. Everything in the middle is telling you everything that I kind of just briefly described via song, in a way that I'm wrapping you with my my gravity blanket, so you don't feel anxious about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a cool trip, man. And this all came because I went to this rave called The Countdown, sober. In 2019, I went to it sober. And within 2 months, I was on the phone with my boy in New York, and I flew out there right before the pandemic. And we did a demo of a song called Music Mood. And I was so inspired by this rave. It was aliens. It was called Countdown. So aliens were coming down. Like, it was, everyone was just, I don't know if you've ever been to a rave. I'm sure you have. But the culture, the plur culture, right? Peace, love, unity, respect. Everybody is just love. Like, they don't care who you are, what you're into, what you're not. It's just a loving environment. It was amazing to me, especially being sober in that environment. Like, I felt the energy, the frequency was just like, whoa. Like, I was like, beam me up, like, because I am here. And I was like, yo, I need to create something like that. And so that's, you know, immediately, a few months, like I said, 3 months after, hit my boy in New York, flew out to New York. I shot 2 videos for this other project that I was working on, and then started doing this Dancecapage Electroland, man. And this has been the most streamed project since I've released music on Spotify since 13. Well, the reason why I haven't done anything 13 is because of the record deal thing, and those songs are owned by somebody, and I don't feel like I should be paying somebody of work that I've done. Kind of like Prince was saying, I better shut up before Sony sends their CIA after me. But anyway, like they did him. But yeah, man. So musically, I guess the long answer is it's always been a part, and it will always continue to be a part. And right now I got a rock record that's kind of like a Euro rock, kind of like the Struts, something like that. That's done, and it's ready to rock and roll. I'm just waiting, you know, when and if this Dancecapades Electroland thing starts to die a little bit, then I'm gonna, you know, I'm just letting this one do its thing. So that one's ready. And then I have a blues country record because I've been doing everything out of Nashville. So I got that coming, that's next. And then I'm working with one of the guys from Newsies, OG Banks. I'm working with him on his new single that we're gonna drop in September. I got this other girl, Sugar Wolf, that I've been in groups with when we were kids way back in the day, that I'm dropping a single on her. This other dude, Mysterious, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. And all this stuff within 4 years. Whereas you look on my resume, because you were looking at it, I could see that you were looking at it.
Of course. There's no secrets here.
But all this stuff, dude, happened in this 4-year span. Whereas I had that 8 years, 9 years, whatever years it was, 8 to 10, let's just say. I did 1 album and 2 videos. That's it. I've done over 10 videos. I've done over 3 completed albums. I've worked with 3 different artists. And this is only within this 4 years. So it's just like, yo, man, I'm ready. So that's why I was like, yo, OG was actually the one that hooked me up with my new manager. And he was like, yo, I got a perfect person for you for managing. You want to get back to the acting? I was like, yeah, man. He was like, I got it. Do me this record. I'll give you the connect to this manager. And I was like, done. I was like, done. And she's the best. She's the best. 11-7 artist, man. She's the best. Tanisha Trammell, she's the best. But anyway, man, I'm sorry. Like I said, I go on tangents. I talk. That's my thing. But
well, this is the platform for that, so it's perfect. So I feel like we've got there's kind of like 3 distinct chapters here. We've got the acting that we've spoken about. We've got the music where we've spoken about, and now we've got the chapter of what's next. So the music is going to continue, like you said, and now acting is coming back. So what are you hoping for, like acting wise, or do you have anything lined up, or what's the situation?
Yeah, I'm currently auditioning. I just read for a film that I have a really good chance at booking, where it involves me musically and acting. I'm a songwriter. I can't really give too much away. I haven't booked it yet, but like I said, I feel like this is something that was given to me at the right time. I've been back and forth to Nashville. I'm buying a home in Nashville. The movie takes place in Nashville. It's about a singer-songwriter. I'm just constantly going to be auditioning. You know what I mean? I have a new photo shoot set on the 12th that I got to go and get new photos. You know, I just started back working out, so I'm going to shed the baby fat. You can have baby fat at 44, can't you?
For sure. Always.
Absolutely.
Always.
I like the way you think, Simon. We're going to have more chats.
For sure. Anytime. Well, so you're back in the auditioning. That's awesome. Hopefully you do book that movie. I mean, do you have a preference between like movies or TV, or it's just, you know, whatever the opportunities, you know, that you're drawn to?
I mean, if I had my choice, I would do something such as this audition that I just auditioned for, where it combines the music with the acting, you know. TV is a different beast. It's expedited. You know what I mean? Is that the right word? Right? It's quickly.
Yeah, speeds quick. Yeah.
Quick, yeah. So that's TV, right? It's quick. Movie is even though it's less time, it seems like, but you have more freedom to dive in and to explore the character, and more freedom to kind of just become the character a little bit more. Whereas TV is very specific. You know what I mean? But I mean, now it seems as though, because I'm watching a lot of Netflix and the Hulu and the Apple Plus and all these series actually look like movies. Mm-hmm. And they're just chopping them up into episodes. So I'm like, you know, I haven't booked any of the Netflix stuff yet because I just started. Netflix just started up a couple of years ago where it was like super hot now. So it's like, I'm curious to see how those are run. Are they run like network TV shows where there's a budget and there's a time and you got to hurry up and you got to get it, you got to go? Or is it more lackadaisical like the films where it's just like, develop the character, become the character. Yes, we can do it this way. Yeah, let's go ahead, you know. So we'll see. But those are the two differences of approaches when it comes to that. And I honestly would prefer filmmaking because of that approach, because it's more I'm going to bring out the other side of me here. See, it's more sensitive. It's more feeling. It's more engaging, like character, like becoming, you know what I mean? But I guess, like I said, I haven't done any Netflix stuff yet, and I've noticed a lot of those are kind of movie examples. So anyway, yeah.
Well, I'm super excited to see, you know, whatever is, you know, going to come forward. I mean, I'll put the links below, but where is the best place for people to be able to keep up to date with what you've got coming out, like musically and, you know, acting wise and, you know, just in general?
Well, and here's the other thing. I was just starting out to have one page and be done with it. The Scooter page, just the one page. I was going to use Scooter page coming back into acting and just have that, right? And have that be my name. I already have all this information on Scooter page that's been over the years. So like, why reinvent the wheel? And then like my manager was telling me, but no, all of your acting stuff is under your real name. And we're going into the acting world. Scooter Page is super eccentric. Like he says what he does and does what he says and doesn't care, take numbers about it. Like he doesn't care. Like he has his own opinions about everything. Scott Caudill, the actors aren't supposed to have opinions. You got to bring that down a little bit. You got to be a little bit more normal and be approachable. And I was like, what? It's like, all right. So basically, I'm saying all this to say I have two separate ways of getting in contact or following. Should you think my music is too eccentric and it doesn't make your body move or feel good or your head spin or anything like that you like to do, doesn't make you bang your head, bop it, do whatever you got to do. If it doesn't make you do that and you're not interested in Scooter Page, you can channel on over to Scott A.B. Caudill, and that's on Instagram at Scott A.B. Caudill, or musically is at Scooter Page Artistry. And there's a whole website at Scooter Page, or excuse me, it's not at, scooterpageartistry.com is that. So there you have it. And then of course you can let Google do your thinking for you and type in the names, and then I'm sure stuff would pop up and you can kind of go from there. But yeah, go to Instagram. I'm posting, and I think that's how you found me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the Scooter Page or not Scooter Page, it was Scott A.B. Caudill.
Yeah.
You DM'd me there, right?
Yeah, your email was on there, and I was super happy to see you on there.
You never would have found me any other way. So
no, I mean,
manager, you're right. Look at you. Go ahead, Tanisha. I'll give you props. You're right. She's right. But yeah, so all the acting stuff is at Scott A.B. Caudill, and that's on, and then the Instagram. And I'm posting. I work with a marketing team, and we're posting like throwback Thursdays and flashback Fridays of like all the different stuff that I've done, like just different behind the scenes photos or old headshots or whatever. And then when I start booking again, then we'll bring in some of the new stuff. But it's a cool follow. It's a fun follow. Go ahead and follow me, and and if you're interested in checking out Scooter Page, he's a wild dude. Check him out, Scooter Page Artistry.
It is a great follow. It's all of the links for everything you've just mentioned, that will be below. So check all of that stuff out, because it's awesome. And I think like these podcast episodes, what's so great about them is it's uh, people are a fan of you from what they've seen on the screen, but now, like, you know, me included, you know, it's like I feel like I know you, and I feel like I've heard, you know, I've been with you through this journey, even though I've only just heard about it, but I feel like I
Right.
have now. And so it's like I just want to see you win and succeed, and which I'm sure you're going to, but
Oh
I just want to
man.
watch it, you know, develop. So everybody go onto the Instagram, onto all of the pages, and then let's enjoy watching that journey, you know.
Yo, I appreciate that, man. Simon, you're a real cool dude, man. You're the best, and I appreciate you as much as you appreciate me. I appreciate you, and that's genuine. I'm not just saying that to be phony Hollywood bullshit. I'm actually honestly telling you I appreciate you. Like, having this conversation with you has been a great trip down memory lane, you know, and now we're present. And man, like I said, I'm gonna send you some plane tickets, bro, and coming out to shows, or when I'm out in London doing shows, or maybe I'm doing a film or whatever. Like, I got your back. Like, you're always gonna be there, man. Because I actually genuinely feel you. Like, you're really a cool cat, you know. And to follow Three Ninjas the way that you do, man, and really dig it like that is just like, yo, that's awesome. So
Well,
yeah, man.
that's
Ditto.
incredibly humbling. Thank you very much. And yeah, I fully appreciate everything that you put into it. And like I said, like the Three Ninja movies are just so like close to my heart from my childhood, and will continue to live on for decades and years and years to come. And I'm sure what you go on to do next as well will continue to have that effect. So sincerely, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, hopefully we can do this again at some point. We're gonna bring on Kate is going to come back at some point to do a
Oh,
second part, so maybe one at some point we can, and she's going to try and bring Max.
okay.
So at some point maybe we could do like an online reunion with, you know, with you and Behar and Kate and
That would be sick.
Max. And
Actually, Beha, we just got back connected. Like, we were DMing. And that's all because of your podcast. So that's all you, man. That's because of you. Honestly, that's exactly what happened, because you hit me up and then you mentioned that, hey, I'm gonna be doing with Beha. I was like, what? Beha? Oh, dang. And then I was like, well, let my fingers do the talking. Let me just go through, and I looked for him and I found him, and I DM'd him and he hit me back. I was like, yo, what? And I was like, yeah, dude, what's up, dude? And so yeah, that's all because of you, man. So
wow, that's amazing. That's so cool.
yeah.
That's so cool. That's
Dude, if you can get this TV show on air, and that is because of you, like, dude, you one of the producers for sure. Definitely one of the producers. Kate, talk to Martha and them. We're gonna get this thing going. Hit me up. Hit me up, Kate. Let's get this thing rolling. I got some connects. Let's get this rolling.
There,
Come
I'm
on.
sure. I bet if I bet if we could put out a petition where fans could sign it to be like to make this happen, I bet we could get, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not like, you know, a million signatures. And I bet
Oh
that,
yeah.
you know, to show that
Oh
there's an
yeah.
audience for it, you know.
Yep. Especially now, like, what's crazy, man, is I don't know if they just, and you would know better than me. I don't know if they re-released it or did some extra special something or other or whatever. But the most random stuff keeps happening. Like, people are just like, "Yo, man, Three Ninjas, are you?" I was like, is it playing a lot? Like, why all of a sudden I'm getting the Three Ninja bug, and my hair is freaking like this, like long and straggly and out of control? Because I'm growing my hair, by the way, because I'm doing the whole like thing, with the rock thing, like the organic thing. Like, I'm gonna do this whole look, you know what I mean? Until I book a role and I gotta cut it all off, probably. But
Or
that's
or
why
they
my
have
hair's
to
long.
just shave the front.
Or they shave the front. Right, right. That's what they do. It's the business. It is what it is. It all grows back.
I
Thankfully, it grows back, because there could be a problem where it don't grow back.
well,
And then I'll be screwed.
I think Three Ninjas is. I think it streams on Hulu. We don't have Hulu here, but I think Kate said it streams there.
Oh,
But I also think it's a generational thing, because everything in the '90s is like fashionable again now. But also,
oh,
like you
true.
said,
Yeah.
people that were watching it when they were kids are now having kids, so then they're introducing it to their kids, and the cycle sort of continues. So, but I mean, eventually, if they ever, I don't know if it would, but if it ever got moved on to Disney Plus, I think the streams would
Oh,
go crazy.
well, Walt Disney, um, they own the first one. It's a Walt Disney movie.
Yeah, Kate was saying that that Martha owns the rights, and that's kind of a crazy thing because that
So
never
there is a
happens
touchy
now.
subject there. Because Walt Disney was the distributor. There you go. They distributed the first one.
That's it.
Because I remember seeing the like the Walt Disney thing that happens. I remember seeing that, so I know that. But okay, they could be the distributor. Okay, well Martha's holding on to that. She's like, I'm not giving up this. I'm not giving up these gold bars right here. This ain't happening. Well, then Martha, what you need to do is put some of them gold bars back into your gold bars and get this thing going. Look at Cobra Kai. You know, the industry is a bunch of everybody doing the same thing. So, hey, it's already happening, Martha. Let's just make it happen. Just bring it on back like they're bringing everything back. Let's just go. Let's recycle.
there's
man.
definitely a space for it. So I think it could happen. Who knows?
I agree,
Who knows?
man. And you said your son is 6 months?
6 months, yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
33.
33. So yeah, 33. Okay. So from what would you say? So from like 28 to 38 is the
Yeah, I mean, I was
big of
5. I was 5
that's
when
too
it
big,
came
huh?
out. And so I was but then it goes on to video and whatever. So it's probably like 5, 6. So I'd say anyone from about that sort of age, yeah, 5 to maybe like, I don't know, even about 14, probably absolutely loved it. Because it was like the
But didn't
mixture
want to
of
let their friends know.
yeah, but we all have those movies. But I think it was like the mixture of it being like, it was sort of like Home Alone mixed with like sort of I'd like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, maybe, you know, it's kind of with all of the like the martial arts and everything. So it was just perfect blend. Yeah.
I think they planned that, to be honest with you, because those references, I think I've heard those before, and that's exactly what that film is. It's the Home Alone meets Ninja Turtles. It's got that action of that, but it's got the crazy of the Home Alone. It's just you know, that's I wonder if that's kind of, does it say that somewhere? Because
It says it on the box. Yeah, yeah.
Oh God, there you go. Okay, well there you go. I was like, wait a second, you're brilliant, man. This is your profession. You need to go into marketing the ads, because that was brilliant description. Holy crap.
Yeah, I was just
on the box for real.
I was just stealing from the box. Yeah, I have.
Oh my God.
I have the box here. I have it here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
look at that.
it says crosses Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Home Alone right there on the box.
Oh my gosh. I was like, yo, that's got a ring to it. Like, you're good, Simon.
I think maybe one more. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's not written on there, but yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
I don't have anything else.
I love it.
That was, well, yeah, this was amazing. I fully, it was an absolute honor. So everyone, go check out Scott everywhere, and thank you for your time.
Absolutely, Simon. Thank you.